Look, I know that graphic said that Game 1's coming up next. Probably right, because if RNG keep playing this way, we're going to get into that next set tomorrow nice and early, Raz, because they are so dominant. Game 1 and Game 2 was completely one-sided in RNG's favor.
Yeah, it was a slobber knocker. I honestly, at that point, I just don't know.
What?
I just, in my own mind, it was just them getting knocked around. That's my definition of slobber knocker. But seriously, RNG just showcasing that early game focus is working so well for them in every single lane, specifically the bottom lane. Now, I think Flandre is doing quite well for himself on the top side of the map, but it's not happening where he is needed early and he's able to make the ganks worthwhile. Goes for that TP gank bottom lane, or at least he canceled it out just because it's not possible when the Xayah and Rakan are there. So I do want the Xayah and Rakan being challenged if they want a TP gank being a play in the bot side in the next game, and also being able to pick up the Varus for themselves. So they at least have extra CC to make it happen, and also the push potential.
So why haven't Snake been picking Xayah Rakan? They had the opportunity to do so.
I mean, they have a lot of chances.
2 games so far.
Yep. Honestly, it felt like the second game picking up Ezreal was just because they saw what Uzi was able to do with Ezreal in game 1. And they thought
Uzi.
that, yeah, it is.
You can't say Uzi played a great Teemo game and be like, oh, look, Uzi had a great performance in
But
Teemo. Now
look,
we should pick up Teemo
The
as well.
sound, it's an idea that is very sound of having poke within the lane. It's just that Uzi throws out those Qs, the landing. And in this one, it just wasn't happening because they were hiding behind the waves. So Xayah and Rakan are able to push in the wave while not being exposed to those Qs.
I'll tell you one thing Uzi could do that Crystal couldn't as well, Raz.
What's up?
He could Arcane Shift 4 without being picked off by 5 other members of the team charging straight into his Ezreal.
Now you're just being rude.
That's true. Crystal did not have a great game in game number 2, and Snake are looking to try and bounce things back for game 3, because they are now against the match point for RNG. Heading into picks and bans for game number 3, this time Snake will be on blue side. We'll have to see what that changes for them.
And this just, for me, Ryze has been a big button issue for Snake just because while in the league, Ryze has an 83% presence rate, for Snake, it's a 100%. They pick it up if it's available. The enemy team picks it away from them if it's on the table. So Snake, first pick, Ryze is available for himself.
But so is Kai'Sa.
Okay.
Kai'Sa is available as well, Raz. And that's going to locked in first for Snake.
And here's why I don't like Kai'Sa. Just because, sure, has a strong snowball potential off of picks or off of CC being laid down, but has a short range if you're looking towards these lane dominators like the Varus. So if you're RNG, you can just pick a mage support with the Varus pick and push them in early.
You know what? If they want Xayah as well, they can pick Ryze here, which they have for Xiaohu, and they can go for Rakan.
That's true.
And then they pick up Xayah, third rotation. That's it. They've locked in their AD carry support. They've locked in a strong mid laner for themselves.
The only issue about that one is just because Xayah versus the pick of Kai'Sa both have equal range. They'll farm it out pretty evenly. In fact, the lane push doesn't go anywhere. I think that just keeps it even just because Kai'Sa has pretty good lane push with her Q as well. So it just is far more dominating to have the Varus in the laning phase.
It's a decent matchup for Xayah, but you're right. Dominant laning phase for Varus. Commonly see Kai'Sa paired up with an aggressive support like a Leona. When that's not there, they pick up Alistar most of the time. And Snake have gone straight for the Alistar pick for Houdia.
Oh, and the Sejuani's been freed from bans too, so we finally get to see SOFM with the Sedge.
Get off that Trundle, get on a tank. Let's see some initiation coming out from the front line of Snake. Tahm Kench locked in for Ming in the bottom lane.
And this was a major point of worry for Snake in game 1 and game 2, was that SOFM was playing Trundle like he was playing Sejuani. You're trying to look for ganks, and he wasn't going to be able to get them because there's no follow-up. And then he goes into team fights, tries to team fight like Sejuani, and gets picked off. So finally, he gets an opportunity to just look for the team fights he's been looking for all series long.
He has. Now I get to see what he can do with the champion. Especially now that Snake are on blue side. Could that be the change they need to start a reverse sweeper here against RNG? Because RNG are one single game away from locking themselves a date with Invictus Gaming, as well as a spot at Rift Rivals to represent the LPL. Swain's going to be the first ban that comes out from RNG. Olaf taken away by Snake.
RNG, they're glad that they banned out Cassio in first round, first rotation, just because now they don't have to worry too much about strong lane matchups versus Ryze. Snake just needs a pushing matchup versus the Ryze pick to make their composition all the better.
Top lane ban still being thrown Flandre's way, which is expected. Coming out from RNG. Gangplank taken off the table. Trundle is the final ban from Snake.
All right. And I'm thinking Orianna. I think the Orianna Alistar is a great combination. Orianna and Kai'Sa is great for protection. And Orianna into the Rise is just good range. So I think the composition for Snake worked very well with Orianna. And if you want to have more mobility in the lane, you can go for Talia.
Gragas is again the champion of choice for MLXG in the jungle, leaving top lane pick for last for Let Me. Unless they flex the Rise in the top lane, which can be done, but this is one of Xiaohu's champions.
Yeah.
He's had 3 MVP performances, Raz, in the 4 games that RNG have played in the playoffs. Giving him one of his comfort champions could set him up for another one for his 5th game in playoffs. But it is the Orianna locked in for Gorgor. It is an Ornn in the top lane for Flandre.
It's a very sound teamfight composition from Snake. That one right there is suddenly something that they should feel very comfortable about. So if they don't take the win here, then they don't have a real strength coming into this series. So RNG, I like the Gragas in the sense that both Gragas and Tahm Kench very good for denial. So it keeps the bottom lane safe, especially with the pick of Galio.
Into the mid lane as well, Raz, which means Let Me takes Rise into the top lane against Flandre's Ornn.
This changes things quite a bit because Gogo picked up the Orianna thinking it was going to be a sure deal in the mid lane pick. Gragas, especially, I'll say Galio, especially versus the Orianna. Orianna is going to be going towards tier very early on. Versus tier users, should be well and starting to contest for push, and he might have that access towards the bottom lane.
Raz, do RNG have too much magic damage here, though?
The answer to that one is yes.
Because there's 3 tanks from the side of Snake as well. Very little physical damage unless Uzi pulls an SMLZ, goes towards crit. Because everyone from that team, from support to top laner, does magic damage.
And that's the thing. Right now, RNG's composition is completely centered around bot lane push and the protection and teamfight in mid-game. You're right, when they get into the later portions of the game and itemizing for these major tanks from Snake come through, then it's going to be difficult. But with how clean RNG's been playing it throughout the entire playoffs, not just this series,
True.
Then you don't want to give them that early game lead because you're not going to get to the late game.
That's only when that damage is going to become relevant. Because first, yes, you can build resistances nice and early, but 1 or 2 items are not going to matter if you're against a 4,000 or 5,000 gold deficit. But it's a wholesome composition for Snake. Something staple. Tanky top laner with good initiation. SOFM's on his Sejuani. Comfort picks for mid lane, comfort picks for bottom lane. If they were going to start a reverse sweep, this is the composition to do so with.
Yep, and of course, level 6 is going to be a key point for Snake to bridge them into that late game point because Sejuani, especially on SOFM, he wants to start the fights early so he can find his team at least even before that 10-minute mark.
Hang on there. SOFM wants to start the fights early, even if he's not on Sejuani. Right?
That's true. You got
SOFM
me.
wants to start fights with Raptors, wants to start fights with everyone. MXG's on his hit list as well.
Coming into the venue, I had to stop him a few times picking fights with the members.
Oh boy. Well, hopefully he's able to pick the right fight here against RNG because it's match point for them. We're getting onto the Rift for game number 3. Look, there's no doubt about it that RNG have packed out the house here today, Raz. The LPL Battle Arena is packed. But the Snake fans coming all the way from Chongqing, they still believe, they're still cheering as loud as they possibly can against all odds.
Yeah, but this is something different for Snake. The fact that they don't hear that booming crowd as well. In Chongqing, every single time they go up against big-name teams of RNG, EDG, WE, their fans are still there, and they're incredibly loud, seeping into their audio. This time around, not that strong. So especially when they're losing games, finding themselves in a rut in the series, that's going to play a little bit of an impact in their minds.
Different environment from Snake, for Snake. Their first time out of Chongqing, out of the Snake pit. And it could be their last time as well for Spring Split. Not only will they deny themselves a chance to proceed further in playoffs, their spot at Rift Rivals will be gone as well. MXG is going to try and start a Raptor camp here. Has some help from Xiaohu. Flandre is being a bit cheeky, trying to deny this. However, Let Me is right behind him. This could be a disaster for Ornn. Locked down by Let Me, who rotated down. Flash is going to be burnt. He's going back around.
No,
Puts a ward down, spots him out. MLXG takes a little bit longer to clear this one out.
That's hilarious. Usually you can do that if you have a jungler to back you up, to press on towards MLXG's positioning. But he thought he could get it for free. He thought Rise would already be on the wave, and he thought wrong.
Or in this mid lane though, Gorgor has a small advantage, constantly poking Xiaohu every time he steps up to take any CS here.
And here's my biggest focus right now. RNG in the bottom side of the map. Uzi picked up press the attack. Oh, wait a minute. That didn't proc. Is the graphics lying to me?
Could be swapped around. Crystal should be the one with press the attack. standard on Kai'Sa.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Uzi should be on the fleet footwork. We'll have to check back with that later on. Top side of the map, though. Comet being picked up by Let Me. No unsealed spellbook coming out for this Rise. He's going to be sticking to his teleport for the entire match. Gathering Storm as well, Celerity being picked up as well.
Of course, the raw damage within the lane is beneficial. If you're picking Rise into a tank top laner, if you're picking any damage dealer into tank top lanes, you want to find them, or at least you want to find yourself getting as much hurt in the lane as possible. You might even find yourself with a gank or dive setup for yourself. So I want to see what Let Me can get for himself and if he can pull MLXG with him.
Well, so far, SOFM's been the one to clear out most of his jungle first. Went from bottom side to top side, only leaving his Krugs alive, which MLXG's trying to take for himself. Body slams over the wall, should be able to pick those up. Bottom lane has gone in favor of RNG. Gorko got an advantage early in the mid lane, but slowly Xiaohu is pushing back.
And so that's what's interesting with the Orianna matchups, just because you can get your early advantages. It's when you do fall off with the crystal, or at least the crystal purchase from Xiaohu or Galio's, when they start getting a lot more tankier, can utilize their mana a lot more freely. And of course, tier gets picked up from Guoguo. So I don't want to see a tier being picked up right from the get-go. I want to see a lost chapter first.
Look, we can talk about items, Raz, but the jungler from RNG's pulled a little bit of an MLXD.
Oh no!
It's a bit of a double Hunter's Talisman being picked up by MLXD.
Why?
I don't know, Raz. He's done it, though. He's got 2 of them. You can't upgrade that.
Yeah. And SOFM's going to find out, too. He's going to press tab and realize the man's done a boo-boo.
But initiation in the bottom lane. Ming's able to protect Uzi. Crystal and Hudia a little bit more comfortable moving forward now. Loses his Gromp camp as well. MX3 trying to stop this one. SOFM says, you know what? You're next to your turret. Doesn't matter. I'll try and fight you anyway. This is my pink ward. It's going to stay there.
It's good pressure ultimately from SOFM, especially since MLXG hasn't been in his top side camp. So massive advantage for SOFM in just raw experience and gold. And he should just be pathing straight towards the mid lane so he can get towards the top side.
And he's going to try and go for a gank in the mid lane. Xiaohu's able to uppercut his way back to safety.
Nah, this is my favorite path as jungler. Just walk up as an alpha. Say I'm just walking to the next destination, but if you try and challenge me, I'm going to hit you.
SOFM just doesn't care. If people spot him or not, he's still going where he pleases. He's basically the embodiment of Mundo.
That's true.
Mundo needs to come back into the jungle meta, then SOFM can play him, and then we have the player playing the exact champion.
I'm watching some Season 2, Season 3 games a lot in my off time. That's how I have fun, ladies and gentlemen. Not really a fun person. But Mundo, fabulous champion. I'd love to see him get played.
He's so much fun.
And he's the type of champion, or at least that would fit right down SOFM's
He's a
wheelhouse.
madman, which is basically how SOFM plays in the jungle. MLXG's a little bit of a madman himself, but for different reasons. Again, we pointed out his mistake earlier of the double Hunter's Talisman's being picked up. Hasn't costed him much just yet, but it will when he does go for that buy later on. Suzy being very aggressive in this bottom lane. Happy to trade against Hudia as well as Crystal. Ming's just waiting to collect him whenever the CC comes out from Alistar.
So that is still press the attack. We're just not seeing some of the animations. So still coming true. Uzi is focusing so much on towards just the matchup itself. Already has a 10 CS advantage for himself. And is looking and pressuring hard for this dive.
Well, they've got RNG going for the dive, but cancelled. Let Me's going to get his teleport cancelled by Flandre. MLXG now forced to flash away. Me's going to try and protect him. Saves him from any more of the damage that comes out from the Ignite as well. Still a big lead for Uzi in the bottom lane, but good cancel, good read coming out from Flandre.
Yeah, really crucial. Otherwise, Flandre was going to be put in a really tough position. He didn't have TP for himself, has an Ignite. So if he could not stop Let Me from getting there, he wasn't going to be able to follow himself. So really well done just to save Hudia and Crystal.
He needs to go back to base as well, swap out that Ignite for a teleport. He's still staying in lane as long as he possibly can. RNG still have the priority in the bottom lane matchup. It's curious to see the Varus go towards press the attack. Normally we see fleet footwork on most AD carries. And in fact, Kaiser's one of the few that actually do pick up the press the attack more often than not, going for fleet footwork in this matchup. Let Me's in trouble though. Flandre is going for a gank, tries to charge it towards the wall. Instead, still flashing forward, throws down the pillar, Ignite is ticking. SOFM doesn't get the charge knockup. Ultimate's being used, but cancelled by the Frozen Domain. SOFM picks up first blood for Snake.
Yeah, of course he's going to follow you through. They're both tanks, and of course Sejuani does enough damage to be able to net the kill. So really well done from Snake to make it happen topside. To answer your question about the bottom lane though, fleet footwork makes sense for Crystal because he's the one with the range disadvantage. So he wants to play this one safely, not losing too much life. It's Uzi that decided that he's going to try and focus so much on the laning phase. He wants to see if he gets any mistakes. If they can force a mistake on a Crystal, then they can really just burst him down.
It's a hard force coming out from Guoguo, rotating down into the bottom lane, spotted out by the Scuttle Crab that was taken down earlier. SFM's level 6, by the way, Raz. MLXG is still sitting at level 4. He's picked up a Targon Sprace. He's sold his other Hunter's Talisman and completed his jungle items, but not doing too good on the Gragas at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. Was completely denied from his topside camp, so he's just tagging on the bottom lane to see if he can get this tower.
Yeah, his bottom lane just hit level 6 as well, Raz. He's still level 5. Xiaohu, though, has found Guoguo, forcing him to use his cleanse. Knocks him down low enough that this Orianna can no longer rotate into the bottom lane.
Yeah, suddenly this turns into a possible 4v3 or 4v2 scenario.
Double support. Double support bottom lane, Raz.
That's what you gotta do.
We're Dota now. Tri lane bot, let's go.
At least he's completed his smite.
Like you said, Guoguo was fairly low, but he's going to be able to spot out a couple of control wards that were placed down. Clears those out. Going to take a look at some of the stats that are coming out from SFM, because we mentioned, yes, his last 2 games, they haven't been the best games, but he was one of the MVP nominees for this split. And he's been a crucial catalyst for the success of Snake in the matches they won during the regular season.
And we needed to see some of these come true if Snake was going to have a chance at this series. Wards per minute, they've been getting heavily outwarded, or at least the vision control has just not been there. RNG has had the lane pressure, therefore they've got the first hit in the ward. So that's fair from them. But of course, SOFM's not going to be able to do that. And the second one's the ganks. He's been playing Trundle, he's not going to be ganking, or at least he's tried. But since he's on a suboptimal ganking jungler, he's failing. This is the first real game we can judge SOFM based off of what he's done in the regular season.
It's nowhere to be seen as MLXG is going for a gank against Houdier here. Even the ultimate being used by Tahm Kench to get behind Alistar. Flash is available, Houdier jumps over the wall. MLXG, he's not going to follow just yet, but Ming jumps over the wall first. Tongue Lash going to slow down Houdier. No flash available for Alistar, still level 5 as well, and Uzi picks up a kill for RNG.
This has just been a rough bottom lane all series long for Crystal and Houdier. And I would be a little bit more, I guess, I would feel for them a little bit more. Feel for them.
Wow.
Just because if they had stronger lanes or matchups just so they can combat Ming and Uzi, that'd be fair. But a lot of them are picking scaling picks for themselves. So picking scaling picks up against stronger laners, and then of course just following through. That's just been the story all series long.
Well, if you take stock of things, though, Raz, top side of the map, Flandre is doing very well against Letme's Raz. There's a CS advantage, he's holding the waves nice as well. Had the teleport advantage and still does for a short amount of time. SOFM's doing much better in the jungle, out-farming MLXG. It's a level-headed experience. Has got the successful gank off in this match as well, top side of the map. It's only really bottom lane that's been going heavily in Uzi's favor.
Yeah, the fact that Flandre's picked up TP after his last phase means that he can finally look for a play now. He's on the tank, not a difficult one like Vladimir that finds hard points within these TP plays, but he can do it on the Ornn. I want to see him getting opportunities to help his bottom lane out.
Just look at the damage that Uzi's able to output right there, Raz. No pressure, no threat from anyone else. Gets good damage out as, yeah, we don't talk about what just happened there.
He's trying to catch him on the upswing. You know, I saw what play he was trying to do, just too late.
Executed the Dragon Punch command perfectly. Bottom lane, Houdier is actually going for an aggressive move against Ming. SFM's here, throws out the ultimate, locks down Tahm Kench. Grey health, not going to be available. Crystal gets a kill for Snake in the bottom lane, relieves some pressure from the dominant Uzi and Ming.
Yeah, great lockdown, even though, of course, the control ward was there for RNG. It was just canceled out by the other control ward as well. So SFM was going to be able to direct himself bottom lane and lock down on towards Ming.
Ming spamming the question mark ping on Uzi. You still have heal. Hello?
Help. That actually would have been the difference. He would have had the shield. He would have had the shield.
Say.
Yeah, I mean, he probably would have died afterwards immediately.
Ignite was ticking as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
Cuts the heal in half. Did not make the play. Saves the summoner spell. Just gives over the single pick to Snake. Snake do have a nice gold lead for themselves, though. They're 1,300 gold up. This is a big improvement from the past 2 series. 12 minutes into the match, they're holding their own against RNG. They're in the lead. And SFM has been unlocked, which we haven't seen in the past 2 games.
It's just because Snake has got the composition for themselves, or at least in the top side of the map, that has been working out. SFM on Sejuani and Guoguo picking up the Orianna means that he has a lot more control about the mid lane. So proper picks here for themselves. And of course, SFM is finally getting his ganks landing. Top lane gank was great. Bottom lane gank, so much more easier to execute. Frost made the point on the desk. Don't want to see him on the Trundle. Trundle is a great pick, not for SOFM.
RNG are going for a play in the bottom lane though. So keep track of that later. They walk over a couple walls. The play kind of fizzles out. Xiaohu's still waiting the wings in case anything happens.
Oh, TP coming through.
Big teleport flank. Uzi throws out the ultimate, locks down Hudia, but Flandre jumps in, throws out the own ultimate, only connects with the knockup onto Ming. Galio now going to try and join the fight as well, jumps in to protect RNG. Teleport's going to be cancelled by Let Me, so RNG are just trying to disengage from the 5-man squad of Snake, chasing towards these turrets. As SOFM jumps over the wall, he's alone at the moment, looking for the flank.
5v4.
4 on 5, they've got a turret for themselves, so let's see what they can do. Xiaohu with the taunt, locks down Flandre underneath the turret, tries to charge away from this. He's at half health as well. SOFM's on the backside, taking a lot of damage himself, locking down MLXG, but that's all they can do. Instead, Body Pop goes through, SOFM forced to flash over the wall. Snake, they were looking for the 4-on-5 fight underneath the turret. They don't get what they wanted, though.
Yeah, they've been trying to hold them in underneath the tower so Orianna could find a good opportunity for her ulti. Is just a good defensive maneuver from RNG to push them off, especially the cask from MLXG to just force Flandre in a poor position.
Cool Karma collected, though. Uzi throws out the ultimate, gets to disengage. Teleport being challenged by Let Me. Understands they could try and pick a fight, but Flandre got there first. If they disengage, they'd be perfectly fine to do so and stop SOFM from getting the flank.
Yeah, some teams would, I would say, buckle down. Like RNG.
Flip the coin, let's go.
Oh.
That's probably what could have happened, but they didn't decide to.
Yeah. If it was RNG, let's say they, of course, they're in the series 2-0, found an opportunity 4v5. Some teams would take the fight. They recognized they can just play passively in that case and went back to orange their own tower. So, well done from them to just recognize they were in a defensive position and actually got an advantage for Let Me, who was pushing into the tower. One thing I want to point out, though, Crystal did something that we don't see out of competitive Kai'Sas.
Okay.
Went towards the death stance. Two builds, or at least 2 items that we see a lot for Kai'Sas.
We'll
now,
track that later, though, because Hudia's just dead, Raz.
All right. You know what?
Doesn't matter what he builds, he dead.
He's dead.
Hudia just dies. Uzi just doesn't even need ultimate. Has it available. Just hunts him down. Flash
so
available
sad.
for Hudia. Ultimate's coming back up, but still.
I will say this. Death Stance makes you feel a little bit more tankier, but he's not the one getting hit up. It's Alistar. So that's just, I mean, it's great for you.
You are right. The Death Stance is a nice item to pick up on Kai'Sa. Once you get the extra pickaxe to evolve your Q will be able to heal you for about 150 to 200 hit points.
It's pretty absurd.
It's
the fact that he has fleet footwork as well, he has a lot of sustain, which would have helped him out if the game went long enough for him to find the benefits of it. Benefits of it, of course, he keeps in lane a lot longer. Uzi, even though he's been putting out a lot of meaningful poke, not so meaningful if he's just going to be able to move from the lane and heal up. Okay, he's getting dived.
Big flank in the bottom lane. Crystal gets body bop, knocked into the wall as well. Uzi gets knocked back by Hudia, but Crystal, good use of the ultimate, jumps back towards me, eats him up, good damage coming through. Uzi ignores Hudia, jumping forward, throws out the hail of arrows, gets a kill for himself, but actually he's died to a turret. Hudia picked up that kill for himself. Xiaohu now going to try and hunt him down. Alistar does have flash available. No ultimate though, means the taunt is going to connect. Hudia is going to fall. 2-for-1 trade in the bottom lane.
And just take a look across the side of the map. Snake, they've started to answer, but far too slow. Pushing in the mid lane waves, finally. Ooh. This is, okay, I guess they were afraid of getting dived.
Xiaohu tries to complete his teleport there, but 3 members strong with Rift Herald pushing through mid lane. He's forced to cancel, taking the long way back to mid lane. Rift Herald's going to get another charge here as well, taking some damage to this mid lane in the turret. Snake still hold on to the gold lead off that play.
Had they added the extra member, if Gragas had based earlier on instead of keeping to the play until he died, that would have been 2 people underneath that tower. He could have completed that TP. That's just one thing to think about, just because Snake finally did get something off of that, but in a better scenario, that they would have been denied mid lane as well. So it's RNG constantly on the offense in terms of bottom lane push and dive, and they would have been able to defend the mid lane too.
Good reactions coming out from Snake, though. It means that they still hold on to an even game against RNG. A slight lead for themselves, in fact.
Worst thing too is that what was a strength for Snake in the beginning of the game with the Orianna is going to be a weakness. Sure, she have blue buff for herself, but she's gone towards the tier aspect of the build, which has a mid-game trough until you really do get it fully stacked. So it's Galio going to be able to push up the wave and constantly look for a play with his team. They found the next target.
They're going again. Rinse and repeat. Bottom lane ganks over and over again with MLXG as well as me. Galleon now jumping into the mix as well. Crystal trying to go toe-to-toe in the back lines, taking a lot of damage. Shield comes out from the ultimate, but is it going to be enough? He's the first to fall. MLXG gets that kill, and now taking a look and see if he's going to be able to survive. No, he's not. Gragas falls. Meanwhile, big knockout coming out from Fadre. Shockwave is good for Guoko as well as the fall of Hoodia. They're in the bouncy castle, but it doesn't look like a Snake that's having fun at the moment, because RNG 4-3, trapping Snake on their side of the map. Farming up, making sure they clear the minions first before going for that next fight. SOFM's waiting to see if he can find an initiation, but not too much consistent damage left for Snake. They're going to realm warp out of there.
Oh, they're going straight for the next objective, which is the mid lane tower. So it's going to have to be on Snake that bases. I guess they could go towards Dragon as well. They have two options for themselves.
Or they could rift walk out of there and do none of those things, Raz.
No, I have faith.
I don't.
You sure about that?
He's going back to base.
Oh my god.
Let's take a look at that again, because there's another time where RNG force a fight bottom lane.
Yeah, time and time again, even using the Galio to find himself immediately with the team. So that was going to be 4 to 5 members strong once the TP completed. So, sure, good response from Snake. Far too late because your sustained damage is already dead. Kai'Sa's gone and away with. So it was an option that they could continue with this fight, but your only consistent form of damage is the Orianna, and she's not going to walk.
If you're watching Uzi throughout that fight, the little stutter step to escape Gorko's ultimate was beautiful. Keeps himself alive. He's 2-0-4 in this match. Double item is picked up as Varus Glinsu's Rage Blade as well as Wits End complete. And you have to mention, like you said, that the consistent damage from Snake was taken down nice and early. Crystal almost survived that. He was so close to living. The final auto attack from battle, she took him down. Hoodia was so close to protecting him as well.
It just hurts if you are a Kai'Sa and you don't really have any way to get out of those fights. In fact, one time in the second, I would say 2 fights ago, he used his ulti as an escape tool away from the Tahm Kench, but Tahm Kench was able to just Q him and then walk up to him. So honestly, you're picking Kai'Sa and you don't have Flash and you have an Alistar. You are essentially dead every single time RNG look for these plays. They need Sejuani to be pathing towards them more frequently.
They cannot be the ones to get caught out by these flanks. Snake look like they need to be the team that is proactive and make these initiations. Doesn't seem very possible though. Bottom lane has been completely in RNG's favor. 2-0-4, 3-1-3 for me. Crystal 1-2, Hoodia 1-4. It's been the story of this entire series. Can they stand up to Uzi? And so far, the bottom lane of Snake have not been able to do so.
They just need to, as you can see in the mid lane,
being aggressive against Xiaohu. SFM's going to come in for the gank as well. Connects with the slow. Ultimate comes out from Flandre as well, looking to lock him down. Flashes over from that one. Taunt is good. Is it going to stop them? No, it's not. SFM gets that kill. They're looking to try and hunt down LMXG as well. The rest of RNG rotating back towards the safety of their mid lane inner, trying to protect the objective. They
just isolated them, so now they have inner track towards this mid lane turret. Get a little bit of chip on it. In fact, they have a wave just behind them as well, so they can use that one.
Hoodia's taking so much damage. Uzi locks him down. Ultimate doesn't matter for this cow. He might be angry, but Uzi can definitely milk those as the rest of Snake try to back away. They do get damage in the mid lane inner, but they don't get anything for it.
Lack of patience, ultimately. The fact that Hoodia, why was he there? I understand he was trying to place down one ward. I guess they're just trying to get a push so they can take this tower. But him losing his life when the wave was coming up so they can actually take the tower, they can't have these mistakes keep cropping up.
You said they rotated him up to get a push going, Raz, but actually get a turret for themselves. Objective being picked up by RNG. They've been the proactive team in this match. The game is still dead even between Snake and RNG. Contrast between what was game 1 and 2, which was completely dominant for RNG. We mentioned during Champions Select, there's a lot of magic damage coming out from RNG's side of the map. You can already see the first few resistance items being built. Banner of Command, you have the Abyssal Mask being picked up by top lane. Merc Boots being picked up by the 2 tanks for the side of Snake as well. And slowly that's going to start to add up, going to start to mitigate a lot of the damage that RNG can dish out in these mid to late game team fights.
Yep, Clement made a point on the desk really early on about just surviving the early game. This composition is definitely true in that case. Guoguo can find himself with a Void Staff, Rabadon's Death Cap, so he's dealing meaningful damage on towards the Galio. And you already talked about the magic resist that needs to be picked up from the tanks of Snake. That is a major teamfight win from Snake, where RNG need to be a little bit more creative in how they get their picks.
We come back to the gold leads. Varus 2,000 gold up over Kai'Sa. And he is going towards more of an AD build. Blade of the Rune King is going to be his next item. In fact, they try to lock down SOFM. Xiaohu's here for the taunt, doesn't connect. Ultimate is used by Varus, they don't get anything for it. Very tanky, this Sejuani pick.
Yeah, on top of that had the Merc treads as well, so they didn't really get a timing on that one, so the taunt didn't come through immediately afterwards. So they have to get the timing down for that one. It's going to be harder just because they're now focusing on pick potential rather than just raw team fighting.
On top of that, Flandre with that Banner of Command means Let Me. He's got no way to deal with this bannered up cannon minion. Turret is going to fall. Flandre already has 1,000 to 2,000 gold lead over the left. Tank against carry matchup. 2 levels of experience. Again, Snake are looking towards their top lane to try and bring home victory in game 3.
Yeah, it's going to be rough for Let Me. I think Let Me should start rotating a little bit more often because he's not going to be building a banner for himself. That's just not efficient. So now that he has to deal with the banner minion, I think they should just swap it up so Varus can pick up the one wave that's on banner, and they can hopefully look towards the Baron, which they have properly control warded. Those are strong control wards for RNG defensively that they can contest a little bit more strongly. They just can't have Flandre constantly pushing up bottom wave and then rotating with his team.
Good guys, Xiaohu holds the wave for Uzi so we can continue farming in that mid lane. Galio was the last pick that RNG picked up in Champion Select, which meant they had to flex the Rise into the top lane. Seems like they're going towards a heavy Protector Uzi composition, with Tahm Kench as well as Galio being able to do so, and MLXG being able to split apart the Snake team. But again, we talked about it. Funnels them into a magic damage team composition. Funnels them to having beefy tanks in the mid lane as well, with the Gragas as well as the Galio being picked up. But very curious that they've gone for this instead of just allowing Xiaohu, one of his signature picks off the Rise, going toe-to-toe against Gorko in the mid lane.
Yeah, it's just hard to criticize the pick ban just because I think RNG had a very solid idea around winning bottom lane and then just...
Oh, they won bottom lane, right?
Yeah, very hard. And then they just consistently looked to dive with Galio and Tahm Kench. So I really love that aspect of the composition. It's just now that they've been making small errors here, which is for me a more pressing issue around mid-game, it's starting to falter, and that's where the risk comes into play. Now they're setting up for this play, but I think Snake are going to be feeling incredibly confident about picking the fights here.
Wards being cleared in the river by RNG. Immediately head back in towards their jungle farm up the camps that have respawned, and then it's Snake's turn. They clear out the vision in the top side of the map, away from Baron, move a little bit further forward as well. In fact, Flandre has been called into the mid lane. He snuck his way up here. Meanwhile, Let Me is dealing with a Banner of Command minion on the bottom side of the map. It's going to take him some time to push out that turret.
They just cleared out the one ward that RNG were really hoping wasn't going to be seen. So no vision at all from RNG on towards the Baron pit.
Very patient play, though. They know that they can't see Flandre on the map. They decide not to go anywhere close to Snake. Now that Let Me's had the time to recall, they step back out, clear out some vision, and wait for Rise.
If I'm RNG, I would shift a lot of vision right now towards Dragon. Mountain Dragon's up, and I think that's a real meaningful one that Snake can get quickly.
Who wants to fight here, though, Rez? Who is looking for that first engage? Is it going to be Snake or RNG?
It would have to be Snake. Snake right now, especially with Void Staff completed from Orianna, they should feel comfortable with the range advantage they have with the Orianna ball.
I haven't been able to find it. They've been rotating Flandre, looking for the fight. That's not working out. They're controlling the vision, but it's just been a tug of war between the two teams. Snake, at this point, if they're going to continue doing this, they have to be content with taking it to late game. It's just going to be back and forth.
Yeah, honestly, I would just say that Snake just needs to be a lot more, put their foot down. Dragon's up. Why aren't they taking Dragon immediately? Right now, there's too much bouncing wave movement and management when they're not consistently getting anything of real value. So Baron, sure, you're not going to be able to get it because you're getting contested by RNG, and they're playing safe enough so you can't get the pick. But just immediately move down to Dragon so you can look towards the next one when it comes up.
Aren't you looking for a pick of SOFM, though? Because Mountain Dragon has been started by the side of Snake. Flandre as well as Crystal are down there, getting damage onto that objective. Instead, they lock down Houdia, ultimate already being used by the Salistar.
All right, now Houdia didn't have to do that because they already knew that RNG was not going to be starting up the Baron. So not having ulti is going to be crucial.
Oh, SOFM looking for the engage there. Uzi gets eaten up by Ming nice and early, but the flash forward of SOFM stops the other cup from coming through. MLXG with the disengage from the ultimate. Xiaohu does get knocked up by the own ultimate, as well as double stun coming through from Sejuani, locking down. This is an AP Galio, not a tank Galio. Takes damage very easily, but he survives through all the engage that Snake throw his way.
But he needs to base. At the very least, he has teleport, so if Baron is started by Snake, he can teleport onto the scene, so it's not that bad for them. I wonder what Snake was trying to do because they took a long time before they fully committed to the play. And Ming was able to just wait it out till all the resources were used, especially SOFM's ulti. Then he just gobbled up the Galio and ran up out of there.
You also see Uzi changing his item build towards from what was traditional Varus to more of a crit-based build BF sword already being picked up by him. That gives them some form of late game insurance, Raz. And it almost looks like that's what RNG are waiting for, because they're happy to allow Snake to try and look for these fights, disengage, force the summoner spells, force the ultimates, force the initiation coming out from Snake, back off and continue farming.
Uzi can just do that because of how ahead of the pace he is right now. 300 CS, 27 minutes into the game. It's a lot of CS.
304 as well.
Yeah, that's true. So the fact that he can just go towards Infinity Edge, and then if he's gotten to the point where he's already full build, he can change out Wit's End for just a crit-based item, like a Renan's Hurricane, and just go full crit on towards the Varus pick so he can deal with the tanks a little bit more easily with the Last Whisper build. So that's a change he can do since the mid-game is nearing completion. So that just showcases what he was able to do with just the early game advantages he has.
Whereas Kai'Sa's gone further in the Death Dance build path. Already has the Guinsoo's Rage Blade picked up. Looking for a Hurricane next with that Zeal pick. And that's the 3-item spike that Kai'Sa will really be looking towards. Can become a full-blown duelist, jumping and diving into the backlines, defending herself against all the damage coming up from RNG.
Exactly. Of course, getting dived frequently in this game. That extra bit of invisibility on your E is crucial. So the attack speed being picked up is necessary.
And again, we have another dance going around the red buff for us. Just clearing vision back and forth between the two teams. Hudia's in a nice spot.
I think Snake should just feel very comfortable starting Baron and baiting them in. RNG is respectful enough that they are keeping their distance, but since Snake have so many raw tanks, the Alistar, Sejuani, and the Ornn can be in a flank position while Sejuani is just looking for a, I would say, or at least tanking up the Baron. So they should be able to pull RNG in a lot more
They're on a
crucially.
control ward and Uzi's out of position though. Galio comes through the prediction from SOFM, but a nice ultimate from Xiao who keeps him safe. Uzi spat back out. Now trying to cut this one through. Great ultimate coming out of Guokwa, but they didn't kill the king. Uzi is still alive and RNG again successfully disengage.
Crystal's alive too. Snake, I wonder if they try and double down towards this tower, knowing that Xiaohu and Uzi might end up basing. Not going to take the extra risk, but I thought they should be able to, especially with Death Dance on the Crystal, he can sustain up really well.
But lots of summoners being blown there, Raz. Bottom lane, everything's gone for both sides. Here was that again. They thought they caught out Uzi.
Yeah, they were really close to doing so. I think big call out to looking at Gragas here. This should have been clean, especially the ulti coming through from Sejuani. It was that Ming was able to save him through, and Gragas not being there for the fight would have been crucial for Snake's victory in this one, but they still don't come out ahead.
Big ultimate coming out from Xiaohu. Good prediction from SOFM. Understands that Uzi was going to use the flash. Almost felt like Ming actually eating Uzi there. Almost costed it because the slam came out at the same time. Knocked everyone from Snake up. That would be crucial seconds for Uzi to get a couple more auto attacks down. But still, better safe than sorry. Uzi stays alive. 3-0-4 still. Burns both of summoner spells. In fact, picks up a stopwatch, Raz. Could be a Guardian Angel being picked up by this Varus later on in the match. Let's see if he utilizes the stopwatch efficiently in the next fight, because the triple spike coming out for Crystal is complete.
Yeah.
Zeke's is complete as well for Hudia, buffing up the Kai'Sa even more.
I mean,
yeah, he flashed. Kai'Sa was close by. Could have used the ultimate if that ultimate connected.
yeah, that call was definitely made that Kai'Sa was nowhere to be seen, so he just respected the fact that there was a second member. Ornn wouldn't be using it as ulti unless if he was someone there.
He refused to accept the Hadouken there, Raz. He's able to get away. Just burns his summoner spell. But that's just been the pace of this match. Snake try for the initiation. They have the comp that can initiate. RNG get hit by a few spells, blow a few summoner spells, and then nothing happens. And they rinse and repeat, getting small, minor gold leads for themselves, but nothing much.
And people will be wondering, why is there no follow-up damage? I guess we'll have to find out if there is follow-up damage in this fight.
They're fighting on two fronts, though. Trying to engage into Ming, as well as engage into Xiaohu, but they knock back Flandre. He's so low, locked down by the Chains of Corruption. Realm Warp's going to bring Let Me in as well. Crystal's trying to kite this one back out, but everyone in the backline is being bounced around by the bouncy castle of RNG. Uzi picks up a double kill, and now it's RNG that look towards Baron.
That was a bit random on the side. In fact, Alistar had to sacrifice himself to keep Kai'Sa alive. Alicia's alive now with the Orianna to see if they can contest this.
Is it going to be enough there? SOFM is there, does have Smite, has Flash available as well. MLXG is fairly low on hit points. Crystal looking to try and see if he can find access to the backlines. Guokwa has Shockwave available. Xiaohu wants to jump in, not going to go for the taunt Flash. Flash still available for Galio. RNG might just settle for these two picks.
And this was all off the fact that Snake were trying incredibly hard to force the fight, especially with the two-pronged attack. What was happening there? It was just split focus. So talking about the follow-up, they get the engage, or at least the initial Sejuani ulti off. The follow-up I'm looking for is Orianna. Orianna is crucial for how these team fights start. Orianna's nowhere even near there. So what's the follow-up damage to follow? If you get onto MLXG, you can't follow up with any bit of decent damage other than Crystal, but if Crystal walks up, then he has to deal with the range of Varus, he has to deal with Ryze. There are too many threats for Crystal to deal with in these fights, and they found out the hard way.
Very nice coming up from LXG as well, making sure to use the ultimate while Ornn was locked in his channel, the Bellows Breath. But again, it was Snake. They found the initiations again, but they couldn't decide. Did they go for Xiaohu, or they try and pick off Ming? And that split allowed RNG the proper amount of time to find those picks. They do stall them from taking Baron. The gold, however, is now dead even. Snake no longer even have that small lead that they had acquired for themselves.
Yeah. If Snake wants to take these teamfight victories, they have to be thinking a little bit more about the Orianna. She's farming up a Storm right now. She only has 500 gold currently, so I wonder how long it's going to take for her to get her Rabadon's Death Cap.
So it's 1,000 gold for 1,000 gold lead for the jungler, top laner, as well as the mid lane coming out from Snake. Bottom lane is where all the gold lead is for RNG, on both Ming as well as Uzi. They try to class onto Flandre here, get some good damage onto the tank of Ornn.
Yeah, I mentioned out the 500 gold because Orianna does need a Rabadon's Death Cap to really be crucial in these teamfights, to be impactful. So she has a lot of cooldown reduction, quite a flat magic penetration, but with how beefy the lineup is from RNG, Rabadon's Death Cap is needed.
It's not there yet. See it in a bit, but this is a curious item build coming out. Double Zeeks from Snake. Flandre's got one. And so does Hudia. From what I know, you can't put them onto the same champion.
Definitely can't. This looks like it's just going to be both the Orianna and Crystal getting them.
Trying to see if the mage in the mid lane can add to the damage that Zeke brings. No other big supportive items being picked up by their side of the map. RNG do go for an Ocean Dragon for themselves. Uzi is looking for his 6th and final item. Has that Guardian Angel. Has the Zeke's being picked up by MLXG.
And on the point of item efficiency, there's just no locket on the side of Snake when they're looking at double AP from RNG. So I do think that a locket is needed from at least one of these champions. I think the call is that SOFM is going to pick it up for himself. So they have 3 of those. Okay, looks like they're trying to force a fight.
Let's see if they get it. Xiaohu is being forced here by Snake. Taunts Flandre. He's happy to tank some of the damage here. Letme's in a position to try and roll up into a fight if he has to. Uzi's being split up. Ming is on the side with him, making sure he protects the AD carry. But it's just a back and forth tug of war.
Yeah, at this point, at least Snake is going to get the opportunity to push out the waves so they can clear out all of the wards. God damn, there's a lot of zombie wards. Wait a second. Yeah, get that all out of there. Just so you have the opportunity to play this game now and allow Hudia to look for those picks.
SOFM's on a ward. I don't think he quite knows. Slowed there by Ming. Passive stops him from being slowed. Blast cones back into the pit, clears out the wards. Both control wards being taken down.
Tell that RNG is just a bunch of zombie wards enthusiasts.
Zombie wards are the best wards. And make sure he takes some damage. Body slams over the wall, and he's safe again. Look, Raz, I thought we were playing on Summoner's Rift. This is Howling Abyss, right? They just took this just summertime in the Howling Abyss.
This looks like a 100 Thieves game, I'm telling you right now. This looks like they've decided that bottom lane doesn't exist, and the only thing that exists on this map is the mid lane. Let's go.
Yeah. They're looking for that ARAM fight. I come from Oceania, Raz. This is the specialty fight. Ultimate comes out from LMXG, doesn't separate the team well enough.
I think they're cosplaying it. I mean, Hudia right now is on Moo Cow Alistair. He could just be saying that he's Afro Moo. Let's go if he can get the necessary engage.
Fog of War, 5-man fight. Ornn ultimate only connects onto the support. Uzi steps back up, decides to go for a fight himself. Locks down the top laner with his ultimate. Hudia at half health. Xiaohu charging back in. Top laner for Snake, also low on hit points too. The ball's still being thrown around by Kuokwo, looking to try and find if he can get a shockwave. Crystal has no access to the backline or frontline. Good chunk onto Uzi. Heal that back up with access to any minions or monsters. But again, they disengage.
Snake is actually in a good spot because top lane wave is really good for them. Bottom lane wave is also equally as good. It needs to be RNG that answers these waves. Thankfully they are. But bottom lane wave is actually just massive.
It's massive. But Snake are going to try and start Baron early. Ultimate comes out from Letme, just gives them some vision on how low the Baron is. Half health now. Snake back off. They know they've got bottom lane working for them. They can just buy some more time. Constantly try and force the fight.
Yeah, to go back mid, pushed out the wave, another 2 waves. It's going to be Ryze that showcases himself in the bottom lane. And the moment Ryze shows himself, they can go straight towards Baron.
He will have teleport. And if he does go back to base, it means he can buy a couple of items more. Gets a few items for himself, gets a few wards. if there's no banner of command minion down there, Raz, he can clear it very quickly and teleport into the fight. But Snake are going to try and force it now.
Yeah, there's no rise there. He has to show up for the fight.
They go for the force. Knock up is good onto Uzi. No damage coming out from the AD carry, and they kill the mid laner from RNG to kick off the fight.
And here's the thing, they're going straight back towards Baron, but they're setting up for another fight. Uzi is in a really proper position for another bait.
What do they do without their mid laner? 40 seconds, way too long for him to join the second fight. Hudia finds Uzi in the back lines. Ming flashes to try and save him, spits him back out, kiting this one back. MLXG's locked down, but Kai'Sa tags him, jumps in the back lines. Uzi's forced over the wall and gets the 2 tags for Snake. He gets one.
No
Chain
way.
CC. Crystal's now going to try and join the fight. Heals into it. Let me's trying to fight this one out. Double kill picked up by Crystal. He's looking for it. Gets the triple. Quadra stolen away by Guokguo.
And they're TPing onto the bottom lane wave, and it's big enough for them to already banner it and look for the victory. What a team fight win from Snake. We were looking for it, and they finally find it.
They're pushing through. 10 seconds on Xiaohu, 15 on Ming, and the rest are just way too long. Snake, they're going to try and push for the win here, as they were so patient with this play, and they waited for the right time to strike.
Yeah, they saw a play miles away. We were talking about the push advantage Flandre have, and he made the play happen.
They did it. They finally found their team-fighting team composition. They executed against RNG. They've come to Shanghai for a fight, but they're not done just yet. Crystal is on the Nexus. Galio throws out the ultimate, trying to defend this one. MLXG's back up. They put up a Dace's fence. Crystal is going to fall. The AD carry is dead. Galio's got a double kill. RNG defend their Nexus, but what can they get for this? Flandre is taking way too much damage. Locked down underneath the turret. Raz, they didn't even get Baron. Baron is available for RNG to take here.
40-second death timer. The TP coming through from Let Me with an equally massive wave. All right. Okay.
They came here for a fight, Raz.
Are you
They came
kidding?
for the fight. Now RNG say, let's go top lane.
Okay, they definitely can't end the game, but they might look for at least the inhibitor tower. And then a Baron for their troubles.
They can get something here, Raz. And MLXG is already on Baron. SOFM is alive. Can he steal this? Because Let Me and Xiaohu are not here. Tom Kench is waiting in the wings. They have no vision on this Baron. Tower is going to fall. They get objectives for themselves. There are pings towards top lane as well. Wards are placed down, instantly cleared out. 3,000 hit points. Another one being placed down by SOFM. He wants this.
Low.
He's very low. He has to stop taking this Baron. He has to be careful. SOFM's looking to go in. They slide it. No, he got it! He started it too early! SOFM steals the Baron away. He gets the kill as well. He will fall, but he is a hero for Chongqing right now.
And the bottom minion wave is actually big as well, so the game is still alive for Snake.
Forcing everyone back to base. Forcing RNG to clear these. They got 2 turrets for that Raz. They could have sent 5 men to that Baron, but they decided to send both solo laners to the top lane. Split decisions.
The call must have been made that MLXG was tanky enough to just go towards the Baron, and honestly, it came down to the panic of MLXG recognizing he was going to die if he doesn't smite early. He was going to die if he doesn't send the ulti across and force the burn. He needed to force it, and that played right into our SOFM's play.
They've started Elder Dragon. It gets burst down way too quickly, Raz. Snake with Elder Dragon #1, with Baron buff as well. They are looking to try and keep their hopes and dreams of moving into an international alive, and it starts with this man, SOFM.
MLXG knew he was going to die. He smites early for the HP as well as thinking he had the burst for it. So, I mean, ultimately, he did the best he could with the situation present. So, honestly, the situation is you got 2 members going up top lane to see if they can get an inhibitor, and that's too many.
We're in dead late game here, though, Raz. 6 items picked up by Uzi. Yes, Crystal is still sitting on a QSS, but he's upgraded his Infinity Edge with the Ornn upgrade.
He's full build.
He's pretty much full build. Snake have the advantage. He's dead even when it comes to gold, but they've broken an inhibitor in the bottom lane. They've broken the Nexus turrets too.
Yeah, I mean, you even talked about Magic Resist was a big worry that we had for the composition of Snake. They already have it. Of course, SOFM's stacked up with MR, so he can just walk up and not necessarily worry too much about the damage of Xiaohu and Let Me. Let Me, he's doing a lot of damage for himself. It's not enough.
What's the call here from Snake? Did they march it down bottom lane, look for a 5-on-5 at the open Nexus? Did they push the other ways and try and control it? Because it seems like they're just grouping up bottom. They say, all right, RNG, if you want to go to the semifinals, you have to go through us in a final fight here. But can they do it, Raz?
They still have Elder Dragon. The only member that doesn't, of course, is Guoku and SOFM. Udia can make the play. They just need to get towards that next.
Flandre says, let's go. Let's fight right now. Ming is going to be able to save Uzi. MLG disengaged. Uzi's back out. The 80 carry for RNG is still alive. Flandre tries to charge back in, but Hudia is probably going to be the first casualty here. The Alsa ultimate is going to expire, but no! Crystal, what is this? He's already got one. He's looking for another for himself. Going forward, has Flandre by his side. Big shockwave to backlines, and then a Santa to the backlines as well. Snake have done it. They keep their hopes and dreams alive. They take down RNG in game number 3.
We were essentially calling it. RNG had a lot of control that game. But it swapped over the moment Sidewaves decided it was going to be in favor of Snake, and Snake latched onto it towards that Baron call. Look at that face. Xiaohu ain't pleased.
They survived it, Raz. They survived the bottom lane of RNG. It wasn't pretty, but they got out alive. And Crystal showed what he can do in those late game fights. Showed why Snake are known for these fights. Flandre on initiation. Beautiful to watch on his own. Crystal able to play the hyper carry in the backlines as well. And this time the team play from Snake looked much better.
Yeah.
They now look like a contender for semifinals.
Looks like they took a lie detector test on this one. But yeah, goal difference across. You're right about it. The composition is as Snake as you get it from regular season. No more Trundle. We're seeing the Sejuani come through. And fair enough, Sejuani's been getting banned. But opportunity for himself to pick up an engaged champion in the jungle is necessary because his early game ganks were working out. And his late game positioning was making RNG sweat.
And now they have to start sweating. Yes, they still have a game in hand. Snake still have to pick up one more to tie match point. But if you're RNG after game 1 and 2, so dominant, so flawless, and then to be met with resistance in game 3, you have to start wondering, and there has to be those thoughts cropping up of, can Snake actually do this?
Said it. I mean, it's possible. I think it starts right now with bottom lane. This first time Uzi's found himself with such a large lead, and it didn't result in a victory, that they did get stalled out. So there's going to be reasonable frustration there to see if they could push towards the mid game, because it didn't happen that one.
No, it did not happen that way, and although it was back and forth, it was Snake to pick up the victory in game number 3. To break it down a bit further, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you so much, guys. And Snake showing signs of life, actually managing to take out a win at the end of that game. For so long, we were just sat here and it's like, yep, here's the 3-0. It's just going to be, it's all done. Going to be the clean sweep, and then Snake turn it around.
Do you know where Barons actually come from? They don't come from the void. They actually come from Vietnam. Because
I knew the punchline of this.
Oh, man.
SOFM, that's the 6th Baron steal he's had so far in the LPL. The most Baron steals ever. And he single-handedly put that game back onto Snake's court.
And just like the way it happened as well, Frask, I know you were looking at that one intensely, but it was just like so many factors went wrong for RNG that allowed SOFM to get in there.
Like, why was no one tanking for MLXG? The fact that he had to time the smite like that for the burst, use it early, because otherwise he would have died. Uzi's in the pit with him, and then likewise, as SOFM comes over the wall, Uzi throws an auto at the Sejuani instead of hitting the Baron. So, yes, SOFM pulled off the most godly of Baron steals I've ever seen. That's like, what, 0.2 of a second that he gets into the pit.
It was blind,
Zero vision. So he has to get to the pit, see it, and boom, it goes down. But, like, everything went wrong for RNG. Like, communication on multiple fronts.
Absolutely. I want to just start looking at replays, start looking at that game, and just kind of go from start to finish here, because RNG, they had control over such a large part of this game, but Clement, you were telling me it just felt like they were playing with their food after a certain point.
Yeah, this composition RNG is running, they have 3.5 AD. Varus is going to fall off very hard after 3 items, so they actually need to be the ones that are going to close the game off strong. Now, this is good. Uzi has a very good start. He has pressed the attack and resolve on his secondary, a very specialized tree to burst down the enemy laners right here. And you can see at the start of the game, they actually completely collapse the bot lane.
Yeah, and count with me. 1. We're not there yet. Wait until the body slam comes out.
You're waiting
Here
for
we
the
go.
Orianna.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Literally 5 seconds of CC, and Snake still can't kill them.
And this isn't the only time that they do this. They layer the CC so beautifully multiple times. The predicts, the layering of CC, they're showcasing why we say that Snake is such a strong 5v5 team, but they simply didn't have the follow-up damage. Suddenly, Varus starts to fall off. Like Clement was saying, the top half of that map is Ryze, Gragas, and Galio, which means late game dynamization, none of those champions are going to be doing doing damage. Varus is also mixed damage with the magic damage, and at this point in the game, RNG have simply just gotten outscaled.
I think the most important kill to happen in the game was actually the Ryze First Blood in the top lane, because that meant Let.Me never was able to split push against Flandre any point in this game. They couldn't split the enemy team up, and when it came to late game team fights, Snake just had the superior composition in terms of
It
damage.
was still scary though, even at this point in the game. It's like, wait, RNG actually just going to do this?
The fact that this starts to happen and then we immediately go into the Baron plays, like, this desk was pretty sleepy. Like, we're like, okay, we understand what happened here. This is how we're going to break it down. And then suddenly everything starts exploding and everyone loses their mind.
That's so good.
Again,
and he even kills MLXG after this.
if Uzi had just tanked some for MLXG so he wasn't such low health, so he could have timed his smite better.
And it turns into the win. It's simply outscaled through itemization. RNG simply didn't have enough in the tank. Like, it's basically Hudir and then Xiaohu both tanking the enemy teams, and the Alistair came up trumps.
Yeah, and you have to note in the ban picks that they let Flandre off of a split push champion and they went all in for the tank. They need engage, engage, engage. And that's what they did. They not only stalled out the game with engage, they also found the fights that they actually wanted to close out.
But this is what we've been screaming at them this entire time, Clement. It's like, get the Ornn, get the Sejuani, get these engaged champions. They're like, no. 1-4, Trundle, Fiora. It's like, no, we understand you can play those champions, but Snake cannot execute with those compositions.
Yeah,
so keep playing this style.
I seem to remember as well, Frosky was saying late game insurance policy. Well, I didn't really see it in that game from RNG.
It's not
I saw
Varus.
it. Yeah, it definitely isn't. They scaled up really hard. But let's take a look at our man of the match, and it can be no one else other than the jungle for Snake coming in here. It will be SOFM on a Sejuani with that miracle steal.
And he is never going to get this champion again. If he does, I'm sorry, RNG, you shouldn't be in this series. This is such a huge pick for them. Ban it away every time.
I will say they still have other options because they're banning away Trundle and Olaf. That means their Zac can still fill in kind of the same role. Also, the Jarvan has been working for SOFM as well. He's not a one-trick pony.
Is there anything left in the tank for Snake? Because that was a miracle comeback, but I feel like part of that was gifted there by RNG. We went late, and the Snake were able to find those fights. So moving into this fourth game now, do Snake have to strike harder and strike faster in the early game?
Oh, draft has been the #1 decider for these games, is what it feels like for me. So, unfortunately, making that type of prediction, I wouldn't feel safe until I saw the draft. But if you don't see long-range engaged champions from Snake, it's safe to say that RNG is the train to go on.
Clement,
Definitely.
any thoughts?
I think it's the same thing. You need the Ryze, Tom Kent, or the Sejuani. One of those three.
All right, that's going to do it for the analyst desk. We're going to send to a quick break before we get into game number 4 in this series.